Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, non-binary pals, and the Technicolor rainbow in between, this is Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, back from the dead one night only.
He did it! He brought it back! Yeah! He sent me and maybe like 2 other people on YouTube.
One of them's me, so. See, if you've been following Modular Media at all for the past 2 weeks, we made an announcement for the Summit.
A Modular Summit.
Where me, Vec, Codes are all going to get together. We're going to fucking touch creativity dicks and make shit.
Yeah, it's going to be like a little thing called RadCon that tends to happen sometimes, but we're not going to be tryhards like RadCon. There will be no actual group piss or anything of that nature. There may be a group henshin, though. That may be something we do.
We will piss, but just not together in a group and separately in bathrooms.
And we're not going to film it.
Yeah.
We don't have OnlyFans.
But sadly, 1 week after we made the announcement that we were doing it, because that was also going to be where we're going to Retroid Toy Con to kind of hang out there during that whole thing. Retroid Toy Con decided, hey, it's safer for everybody not to come. Completely understandable. A little sad, but understandable.
Because, like, you haven't been to that, Chris, but, like, I went last year, and it is literally just a hotel ballroom filled with toys and vendors and people, and, yeah, social distancing really isn't possible at that convention, which is kind of what makes it great, but it's also not great right now.
Yeah, sounds like a festival for someone who's either 7 or 47. Ching. So we thought, well, you know what? We need something special. We need something unique. So we tasked our good friend Cody, to go out into the woods and find a special guest, Bigfoot, to bring onto the show. And unfortunately, Cody is currently lost in the woods. We haven't been able to contact him all day. Getting a little worried. Don't fret. So
I'm sure he's fine. He's a big boy. He had a machete and a backpack full of trail mix. He can survive on his own out there right now. You know, I even loaned him my pocket knife.
Yeah, he'll be fine. So he can't make it for this week's podcast. And we both agreed, you know what? The thing we're talking about is so weird. We kind of need all of us to kind of digest it mentally.
Mm-hmm.
But we did just have a big, bombastic AEW pay-per-view and the Fallout Dynamite after it. So what better way to talk about it than with an old format that no one gave a shit about?
Yeah, boy.
All right.
How are we actually going to do this? Jesus. There's so much to talk about with... Hey, let's stop bumbling around it. We're talking about All Out 2020, the AEW pay-per-view thingamadoo.
Also, the first big I won't want to say it's the first big anniversary. We had we already had a Fyter Fest and
we had the second or double enough. This is technically the second AEW pay-per-view cycle that's now completed, but it's the first time it's completed with Dynamite also running through it.
Yeah, so this is a big kind of anniversary special. That's the thing about big wrestling promotions. There's always going to be an anniversary because they always want to sell shit.
It's like Super Sentai. Every 5 years, you're going to have that anniversry season.
Oh, God. Cody's safe. Cody's back home. He did not find Bigfoot, but he did find Jar Jar Binks.
So, y'all have that to look forward to at the summit. You know, I hear he's a nice guy. I hear he actually, he was bullied a lot for his performance in the prequels, but he got some help, and now he's a huge anti-bullying advocate, so it might be great to have him, I don't know, give a lecture on anti-bullying at the summit. That might be fun.
Unless he cancels next week, which is completely entirely possible.
Yeah, it is, knowing how Cody tends to fuck things up.
Yeah. But we got All Out to talk about, and we watched it together, so we actually have some context for a lot of this.
Yeah, this is probably like the most, it's a weird way to put it, but wonderfully grueling pay-per-view enjoying experience I've ever had, because we got done recording AF last week, And then we were immediately like, all right, Cody, the fucking Toy Con's canceled. Go find Bigfoot. We're going to stay here and watch All Out. And then we were up until 5:30 in the morning watching that fucking show.
It was worth it, though.
Yeah, it was a great show. I never felt like disinterested, but there was a certain point, I want to say shortly after Rosa versus Sheeta, we both just got quiet and we're just like, we don't have the energy to banter now. We're just gonna watch and we're gonna no sleep till Brooklyn it.
Yeah, and we pointed things out that we liked, and we were like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And there's one match that we did really talk a lot through, just because it's a match you kind of had to talk through.
Yeah.
Maybe two of them, but we'll get to that. So we did watch the buy-in, which is their pre-show. Hey, this is free and anybody can watch it. Go buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So the first match on that was a singles match between Joey Janela and Serpentico.
I thought this was a pretty solid match. It wasn't exactly anything to write home about. I feel like it would have been like a mid-card match on Dynamite, but that being said, it's pretty strong for that. And I really enjoyed like staring at the giant bandage on Joey Janela's forehead for the first half of the match, going, "What the fuck is what?" And then like towards the end, it clicked into my head because I listened to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Brian Myers had told the story of he had a garbage wrestling match at an indie promotion with Janela earlier that same week, and they got fucked up, and that's probably why he had that Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about hardcore is like they will fuck themselves up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think this generation of like hardcore style wrestlers really kind of, I don't want to say cleaned it up, but like are taking a lot more steps to make it safer for themselves. Especially Joey Janela, because he had some major big scares with hardcore wrestling, and he has gone very safe.
Yeah, and these days he's kind of known as the hardcore wrestling guy. Like, I don't think you'd be going too far to say that, like, in that way, he's kind of our generation's Cactus Jack.
Yeah, but more often than not, he wrestles like a dude love. You know what I mean? He can get that hardcore, but he wrestles a safe style that looks rough, but isn't. He's the Miz of hardcore wrestling.
Yeah. And because I kind of float in and out of dark, this was the first time I'd ever like paid any real attention to Serpentico. And yeah, he's got some legit moves. I think it would be nice if they like actually found something to do with him, like maybe make him the third Lucha brother or something like that.
He has a great look. I love his mask. It's one of the best Lucha masks in my opinion right now. Like that, Pentagon Jr. and Bandito, best Lucha masks.
Also, if he ever does get like a big main event position or something like that, I think he needs to have custom gear for that match that's just him cosplaying Serpentor from G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that'd be fun. They also had their companions, and they did some stuff. Joey Janela had Sonny Kiss, which I love that pairing. I just love it. It's this weird pairing that kind of doesn't fit, but when you say, oh yeah, they're both from New Jersey, you immediately go, oh yeah, no, that makes complete and total sense.
And it's a really nice sort of master and student thing that's going on, where in kayfabe, Sonny is helping Joey get his mojo back, but shoot, Joey is kind of being Sonny's mentor and getting him ready for some of the more main event roles that AEW wants Sonny to eventually be able to do, but he doesn't really have the training for just yet.
Yeah. For people who don't know, who may be just starting in this one time, Sonny Kiss is a gender fluid wrestler in AEW. I think she's fantastic. They always put him over. JR does it all the time. Also, this week on Dynamite, I just want to mention it. He was in a match, and I thought, oh, JR may just always stick with he, him, because Sonny Kiss doesn't like they. It's either he, him, or she, her.
I noticed JR saying she more often than not.
Really? I always notice when he says he. Weird. But also Serpentico had Luther.
Yeah.
He was Luther.
He certainly was. Luthor is an interesting man.
Luthor strikes me in the current AEW setup as kind of like Goldar and Power Rangers Turbo.
Do you mean like Zio? Because I don't even think Goldar was in Turbo.
I think it might be Zio, but like he was big, tough, and intimidating, but now he's a joke.
See, that happens very quickly in Power Rangers because Goldar's thing is he's constantly trying to be big, tough, and intimidating, and then something else comes in and is like, nah, I'm the big threat this season.
But yeah, it was a good match. It was really good and solid.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Next, we had a tag team match, a big floaty, hoopy, fruity match with Private Party versus the Dark Order, specifically Alex Reynolds and John Silver.
I love that fish sticks.
Long John Silver. Funny, he's a short one of the group.
I am surprised they have not made that joke on BTE at all yet. But
no, this was a great match because they all have like interesting offense.
I was trying to figure out where to go with that, but like, yeah, it's really fun just seeing these like two oddball groups kind of bounce off each other in a way that you don't expect.
Because Private Party has a lot of great tandem offense, silly string, stuff like that.
And Silver and Reynolds are very much just, all right, I'm going to tag in and do some shit, you tag in and do some shit.
But then they also do this great segment, and I love it when they do it, where they just tag each other, and for like 10 seconds, they just go hyper combo, 50 combo in a fighting game, and just suplex, into a splash, into another splash, it's suplex, palm strike, and it just goes like that for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
I really dig that. But yeah, it was just a solid little match to kind of go like, oh, this is cool. Won't you watch the pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's very much Marvel plugging the new movie in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is that still a thing they do? I don't know. I stopped watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after the fucking Hydra shit went nowhere.
Yeah. But then the pay-per-view itself properly started with the tooth and nail match. Big Swole versus Britt Baker DMD.
And this was a whole bunch of controversy because originally it was going to be on the buy-in because it's a pay-per-view. You don't want... People are paying to see live wrestling, so why would we put a cinematic match up front? And it's going to be weird for our audience, which, hey, the audience is back. That's something we've neglected to talk about in the last couple of weeks of the AEW report over on Analytical Fanboys. That's neat. That's fun. But those people... They probably don't want to just sit and watch a screen for 10 minutes. And but then everybody went, hey, this is the program you've been building for the longest with All Out this year. You kind of need to put it on the actual pay-per-view. And then it happened, and a lot of people complained that it wasn't all that interesting of a pay-per-view, and it seemed like there was a tonal whiplash going on. And to which I say, there was variety in this match, and what the fuck do you expect? Britt's probably not even fully recovered yet.
Yeah, they probably thought she would be recovered by now, but it seems like she's just capable of maybe doing physical therapy and not much else.
Mm-hmm.
But they did promise a match, and with the current climate of being able to do cinematic matches more regularly, people are into that and shit. It seemed like a no-brainer to do that, and I think it's a good idea. It was full of good comedy, and also Britt Baker can play a really good psychotic dentist.
Yeah, and I liked, you pointed it out while we were watching it, but I liked how they kind of full-on went for the Minion allegory with Reva or Rebel, with her just being Igor throughout this match.
Yeah, she was like, Britt!
Dr. Baker, what have you done to her?
Yeah, that's a great dynamic, and it fits because she is kind of a megalomaniac doctor. Britt Baker is.
Yeah.
A lot of great stuff. It ended hilariously.
Yeah, there definitely could have been more to it, and I mean, it was a bit of a dusty finish, but I enjoyed it, and I don't know, given that it was a cinematic match, I didn't go in expecting a whole lot out of it, because I instantly went, oh, Britt's probably still not healed up, so there's probably not going to be a whole lot to this. But what was there was entertaining. It offered some interesting character insights for Britt, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with these two from here. I'm still gonna keep saying this until it happens. I really want Swole versus Sheeta for that title. I feel like that's an amazing match waiting to happen. But yeah, this is good. And the only question I have in relation to it is, who's paying for that dentist chair that got fucked up, Britt or Tony?
Ooh. Maybe it was a chair that they wanted to get replaced.
That's entirely possible.
And Tony was like, "Hey, we'll pay for the insurance for all this stuff, and you can use that for the chair."
Yeah.
Like, kind of that kind of general, like, not chicanery, nothing under the table, but just like, "Hey, we're dealing with this. We'll pay to rent your doctor's office for this, so you can replace the chair you need to replace."
Yeah,
No,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But the next match we had was a fucking banger of a match. It was the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express.
Oh yeah, that was on this show. Oh, what an interesting dynamic these two groups have of like Jurassic Express. They're clearly like the good boy kid appeal type characters of AEW, but for the longest time that was the Elite, and now the Elite are slowly crumbling. And so you have Jurassic Express getting in these matches with the Elite, and like the Elite just go full on heel on them half the time, and it's so interesting to watch.
There's also another like symbolic thing behind it, is like Jurassic Express is what the Elite used to be. They used to be a bunch of friends hanging out and doing wrestling, and to an extent, I would imagine it kind of rubs salt in the wound of the Young Bucks, and they go like, "Fuck these guys, like fuck them," you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. It was Young Bucks playing full dickish Young Buck, but not like cocky dick. It was more like, we just want to fucking get this match over with. Fuck you.
Yeah, it was like New Japan Young Bucks, but with the extra added bit of like we're really annoyed and preoccupied with other shit right now.
Yeah, but it was a good match, great match, good storytelling. I'm trying to remember what happened, if any fallout in that happened in Dynamite this week.
No, because I think that match was pretty much there just to get the Bucks and Jurassic Express on the card. I mean, like they had built it with that tag match that they were in together versus SCU and Private Party, but I don't think anything came of it on Dynamite this week.
But Jurassic Express were on Dynamite this week, where FTR were doing their celebration. So we'll get to that when we talk about FTR.
Yeah.
But then we have the Casino Battle Royale.
And this is another thing that I saw people complain about that I'm kind of like, what's to complain? Because a lot of people are like, why is AEW so obsessed with trying to have their own special battle royal format like WWE? They don't need that, and it clearly doesn't work because they keep tweaking it, and it's never right. And it's like,
buddy, it was right this time.
yeah, it's been right the last two times they've done it, because the one at fucking Double or Nothing was amazing, and this was really fun. And honestly, I like that they keep changing it up. Yes, it threw me off this time because I was expecting them to just do another ladder match like they did at Double or Nothing, but it was fun both times, and it keeps it interesting, keeps you guessing as to what's going to happen and how they're going to play it.
Yeah, Casino Battle Royal should be like the generic term for their battle royals, and then they have like a couple different rule sets that the wrestlers like. They go like, oh, it's gonna be this. Oh shit, I gotta train for that. Kind of play into that kayfabe.
Yeah,
but
like
no,
this,
they fixed this match. They fixed it. Like this is perfect now.
because they did the deck of cards thing again, but they adjusted it by having now, instead of like the groups come out all together in a big clump, it's like, okay, we're doing this group, then there's like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're doing this group, and they all come out one after another. You get a little bit of their entrance music, and they get a moment to be on stage and then run down to the ring. It's not a huge cluster hoo-ha of, and now we're doing the spades, and you're like, there's like 5 people there. Well, is someone I'm interested in that group? What's going on?
Yeah, this works 10 times better. Plus it's fast, it's quick paced. It gets the energy up and running. But the first 5 people in the ring that started out were Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, The Blade, and Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, interesting the way they kind of did this, where they really played into the luck of the draw thing by having several tag teams in there and having them be split up for a good chunk of the match.
Or getting together immediately, like Blade and Phoenix, who are currently aligned in a group, were just there together at the beginning, and they just worked on Trent and Christopher Daniels, the 2 faces of this little group, which makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next group that we got were Frankie Kazarian, Will Hobbs, we'll get to him in a second, Chuck Taylor, Santana, and Ortiz. Again, like you were saying, look at the draw. Santana and Ortiz together immediately.
Yeah, and they're doing some great stuff with this match, really building up some of their lower card people or some of their people that they just don't pay that much attention to, because we didn't talk about it, but during the buy-in, there were all these great little vignette promos that kind of threw back to like, I know I'm saying this is different than WWE, but one thing I like that they did kind of take from WWE in sort of the 90s and the 2000s, building up to the Rumble, there would be people like declaring for the Rumble and going, yeah, I'm throwing my hat in, I'm going in this time. And that would be like a big running through line on Raw and SmackDown leading up to the pay-per-view. And during the pay-per-view leading up to the actual match, you get all these little promos between people saying like, yeah, I'm in the match, and I is it going to be after the championship match tonight, is it going to be this person or that person? Doesn't matter, because I'm going to beat them up. And we got a ton of promos like that at the buy-in, which I really loved.
Yeah, this last week has just been fantastic for old school wrestle promos.
Mm-hmm.
But Chuck Taylor comes in, all that kind of stuff.
Will Hobbs.
Yeah, let's talk about fucking Will Hobbs. So he's been a jobber on Dark.
Yeah, he was basic. I assumed, because there's a number of people like him. Like, you got Sean Dean, you got fucking Serpentico was one of them, but like him and Will
Alan
Hobbs,
Angels was also one of them.
yeah, those 3 guys, they've kind of been picked out from the rough and are like, yo, we like these guys. Let's actually give them a little bit of a push and see what they can do, and maybe we'll give them a contract too. The lady Thunder Rosa had a match with on Dynamite the week before All Out. I think her name was Kaylin King, or maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but she actually got a contract out of that match, and she had been a Dark wrestler for a good little bit. And they're just doing all these little things, kind of using the pandemic to their advantage to find all this great indie talent that sadly doesn't have anywhere else to go, and saying like, hey, these people have a lot of potential. Let's build them up and maybe give them a job if we can afford to.
Yeah, and Will Hobbs is emblematic of this because, again, kind of a jobber guy on Dark, but he has great look. He's big. He's tough. He comes in here. He lasts a long time, and he only eliminated one person, but he stood in there. He was toe-to-toe with guys like Lance Archer, Billy Gunn, Darby Allin, Sean Spears, Sonny Kiss, all these people who are kind of like on the the upper mid card, and he was kind of elevated to an extent.
Yeah.
And speaking of elevation, he was on Dynamite. No, he was on Dark, and he had a squash match.
But he was squashing someone else.
Yeah, he wasn't the jobber, and it's like, holy shit, that's really cool.
I would not be surprised if over the next couple of weeks they're going to try and build him up in the rankings a little bit so they can justify, I don't know, let's be a little silly here, giving him a program with Brody Lee.
Ooh, I can see that. I can see that.
Because you know his backstory that Excalibur pushes every time he's in the ring. They could fucking play into that with Brody Lee and do like some white privilege BLM shit.
Yeah, but I can also see him having a great program with MJF.
Oh, dude!
Imagine that. That'd be fun.
Mm.
This is why I love AW, because you get excited about the jobbers.
Yeah,
like that's fun.
You're excited about them instead of holding out hope that maybe something will happen for them one day.
Yeah, even the jobbers that are just kind of there because AEW right now kind of just needs them. You still go like, yeah, no, they look cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. The next group was Billy Gunn, Penta El Zero M, because apparently he's not Pentagon Jr. no more.
I think there was a copyright issue with his name, and thusly he had to change it. And he changed it to that because it means no fear in Spanish, and thusly they can make it kind of a storyline thing that he's doing a harder character now. But my main thing is just like, ooh, that's gonna be hilarious because I think those figures are far along enough in production now that they can't change that on the packaging.
Yeah, I think things like that are kind of okay under legalese. Because it was signed under an old contract. But everybody already just kind of shortened it to Penta.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that big a deal. It's just still Penta.
Yeah.
So yeah, Penta El Zero M. Ricky Starks.
My boy.
Brian Cage. Also big boy.
Yeah.
And of course, Darby Allin.
All of them, all at the same time, just immediately infighting. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, how I am enjoying this feud so much.
It's great because like normally you go like, oh, a feud's one guy versus another guy. No, this is one guy versus three, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's fucking and now they're in a match where and they didn't tell us about this until these guys came out. They fucking said there's no disqualifications in this match.
Because you wouldn't think that it needed to come up. And then you go, oh, of course the fucking skateboarders here. Okay.
And then fucking, I can't remember if it was which member of Team Taz it was, but one of them got a fucking bag of thumbtacks out from the ring, and then instead of like putting them on the ring, they just sealed Darby up in it and tossed his ass out onto the stage.
What it was Ricky Starks got eliminated by Darby. So he grabbed a body bag out from under the ring and the bag of thumbtacks, threw them up to Brian Cage. He knocked Darby Allin out, stuffed him in the bag, dumped the thumbtacks in, and then threw him out.
And then fucking the next week, Ricky Starks comes out and again does the Darby Allin emo boy impersonation, which is hilarious because I can totally see that perspective on Darby, and I hate those kind of people too. But also, I don't think Darby is that way, so it works as heel heat.
Oh yeah, and the best part of that segment was Taz came out to do some commentating, and you're thinking, oh, there's gonna be a thing. Ricky Starks does the bit, and then Taz goes like, all right, my job's done. Wait, what? You were here just for that? Yeah. And then Taz never showed up for the rest of the show.
He is the most petty motherfucker at this point, and I love it.
He is that perfect petty New Yorker kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Is grand. But the last group, Shawn Spears, Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Sonny Kiss, and Lance Archer.
Ooh, fun, completing the fun. I love all these people, and getting to see them interact for a little bit was great. And the way we kind of led into the finish where certain people got eliminated, and I was like, oh, I predicted it when we were watching Dynamite the other week. It's either going to be Shawn Spears or it's going to be Eddie Kingston. And either way, that would be an amazing match with either person coming out of the championship. And then Shawn Spears just kind of lackadaisically gets eliminated. And then the finish is a fucking dusty finish with Eddie Kingston being shown fucking Jake the Snake's bag and freaking out. And then he just kind of accidentally dumps himself out of the match.
Yeah, it's great because we have the winner in this group, Lance Archer. And the winner of this match would get a title shot against Jon Moxley, or whoever wins the championship match this evening.
And, I'm kind of two minds of it because on the one hand, like, I feel like we just had Lance in a big title program, and I don't know if he needs to be catapulted to the world title so quickly. And also just having either one of these people who could have been champion that night going up as a future title going up against another big man felt like a bit of lazy booking to me, but Also, then Moxley had a promo about it later in the week, talking about how things ended, which we'll talk about later. But that kind of got me invested in it from his perspective.
But there's one last person in this match, and it's Matt Sydal.
Matt Shockmaster Sydal.
So Matt Sydal actually
I've
has
never heard of him.
Oh, no, you have. He has another ring name, Evan Bourne. He was once a tag team champion with Kofi Kingston in WWE.
Yeah, I've still never heard of him because I didn't watch WWE back then.
Yeah, but yeah, he's been wrestling for a long, long time. He's been around everywhere. It was cool, and under that respect, it's cool to see him in AEW.
And I did do some research, and apparently, like, he was New Japan's third most popular flippy shit white boy, but he was overshadowed by Ricochet and Will Ospreay for a good long while.
Yeah. But basically he comes in, he was going to do his moonsault, and he slips.
Because they're in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's hot and it's humid and everybody's sweaty, so that ring was like a bunch of greasy pigs rolling around.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had a good sense of humor about the whole thing, and I don't think it's ever going to be detrimental. Like, it's going to stick to him and stink him up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure now that he's debuted, he's going to chill out on Dark and work his way up the rankings for a little bit, and then he might get an interesting promo, or a program, I should say, in maybe a month or two's time. But it was just hilarious for them to be like, Matt, and now the Joker, Matt Sydal. And I'm like, wait, who? What? Who do they say? Who's Matt Sydal? And then before you could even answer me, he was flat on his face.
And we were just laughing. But also, fucking kudos on Will Hobbs. He was the first one to go and check him out, check and make sure he was good.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like sportsmanship, that kind of like team player effort is gonna look good on him in AEW.
Yeah. And I mean that's a big thing in AEW right now, backstage especially, is I was listening to Talk is Jericho with Eddie Kingston last week, and Jericho was like, yeah, that's a big effort Cody and I have been trying to put forth, is no snakes in AEW and everybody try and look out for one another physically. And it's like, it's nice to hear that from Jericho, the guy who in kayfabe is known for betraying everybody.
Yeah, it's funny they said no snakes because like Jake the Snake's right there, bud.
Yeah, but nobody who's gonna be like a Hulk Hogan politician.
Yeah, no politicking, no that kind of stuff. Yeah, and ultimately it's as if you keep that up and you have this very open back and forth between management and talent. Because here's the thing, I have a feeling you can go up to Tony Khan and Cody and the Bucks and just say, hey, what is it that you want from me? What is it that you'd like to see so we can I can get out there and be more prominent?
Yeah.
What kind of thing like that? And I can see them all giving an answer.
Yeah. Whereas Vince would just be like, bad cow.
This is part 2. This is part fuck 2.
Part 2.
So that was the Casino Battle Royale.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next we have the match. Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy. Broken Rules. So
concussions are no laughing matter, children.
Yep. This match is kind of a cluster. I think this is the first true, genuine black spot on AEW.
Yeah, which is a shame because it's one of the ones I was looking forward to the most, and it started off pretty exciting because they went to Matt's theme and they cut over to the field, and we were like, oh, is this gonna be fucking Stadium Stampede round 2, Hardy and Guevara Boogaloo?
There was a cool segment. Sammy Guevara finally got the chance to run someone over. He hit some boxes. It started off really fun and really cool. They go up on a scissor lift.
Yeah.
There's some tables down below, and you go like, okay, I've seen this.
There's 2 tables.
Yeah, crash pad. They're going to get into the tables. They're going to sit there for a minute, and then they're going to come up at the 10 count, and then continue brawling. Everything's going to be fine. Thing is, those tables were a little too close to the scissor lift. Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy landed on it. Sammy Guevara, being a little bit shorter, landed on it just right. Matt Hardy, however, slid and hit the concrete head and shoulders.
Yep. As Brian Alvarez put it, there were 2 tables. There needed to be free.
Yep. Or farther out.
Mm-hmm.
One of those two. It was not good. Matt Hardy was knocked unconscious for about 44 seconds.
Yes. And importantly, it has been confirmed by multiple sources that the doctors at AEW checked Matt out because the match was stopped very quickly. They checked him out. He seemed okay. And they checked him out after the rest of the match at an actual hospital. He got like 5 CT scans, and he was deemed to have not been concussed. However, because it was a concussion and because it was a potential concussion situation, I should say, and they handled it the way they did for the rest of the match and the rest of the night, a lot of people got kind of uppity about this.
Rightly so.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a giant learning experience for everybody in AEW. This is something that the best way to put it, it needed to happen.
Yeah.
It's something that they needed, that kind of scare to make them understand, no, that's not how we need to deal with things. We need to deal with it this way and make genuine precautions.
Yeah, because they stopped the match for about 5 minutes, and then they picked it back up and just went straight to the finish because Sammy and Matt both insisted upon it. And this is a thing I've seen a lot of people saying, like, oh, well, you can't always listen to the wrestlers. You can't always just go ahead when they both want to go. But, like, if you're just going straight to the finish and the finish was as protected as it looked like it was, I'm kind of okay with it, but I can understand being upset.
Shouldn't have climbed that structure.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a good idea. If they had hindsight 2020, they could have done that spot simply by Sammy Guevara climbing the thing, trying to get away from Matt Hardy, and him just shaking it, and he falls.
Yeah, I was about to say I probably would have slightly altered it to be that.
Which would have been safer. But Matt Hardy shouldn't have been up. It shouldn't have been about. And I can understand why that happened. It was a mix of the doctor going like, he seems pretty okay, Matt Hardy going like, I can go, and an inexperienced booking team, kind of in panic mode.
Yeah, and Tony Khan was on Twitter all night and all the next day trying to defend the decisions they made. And, like, I understand his viewpoint. I understand the viewpoint of everyone else, but it was not a good look that this was an ongoing conversation for days, to the point of where on Dynamite the following Wednesday, they had Matt come out and cut a promo about, like, look, I'm fine. I'm okay. I did not get a concussion. Everything's cool, but we definitely need to be safer, and I'm going to take some time off to heal up and train a little bit, and then I'm going to come back, and I might go after a title. Also, here's Rebby and Barty. Rebby and Barty are in AEW now. Look at that. It's Rebby and Barty, everybody.
And I think that was also partially to show the people who are into the dirt sheets and everything, because Rebby was Rebby on Twitter.
Yeah. Rebby is a Latino woman, and Latino women gonna Latino women, and people kind of took her being a Latino woman as, oh my god, she's gonna make Matt quit AEW because AEW isn't safe.
No, she was freaking out because someone she loves got hurt.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. She can be a little abrasive about it, and I'm not saying that in the negative. I'm saying that it's just like, yeah, no, she can get very angry. But I think it was kind of to showcase, no, we've tried to make peace. We've tried to make amends. Essentially, management vis-a-vis the Hardy family.
And I mean, like, Rebby's the kind of woman where she wouldn't have gone out and done that if she didn't want to.
Yeah. I think it was very much just a situation of the wrestlers were high on adrenaline. The doctors made a bad call.
Yeah.
We just had a little break. We're back into it.
Yeah.
But it was the wrestlers were high on adrenaline. The doctors made a bad call. And I'm not saying the doctors were being bad doctors. They were just, I'm not sure if it's an experience. It was a new situation. They were unsure.
I don't want to call it inexperience because Dr. Sampson has been doing not wrestling but sports doctoring in action, whatever the official term is, for like 18 years. So like he knows what he's doing, but nobody is completely infallible.
Yeah, this was just a bad call. And the bookers, Tony Khan, the Bucks, and Cody, if he was there, I don't know if he was. He might have been. Just doing behind the scenes stuff. Were in panic mode, and they had tunnel vision. It was a bad situation. It was a crummy bit to the match. Everybody, I think everybody generally agrees. Bad match, but we're glad Matt Hardy's fine.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is something I saw Brian Zane talk about in his review. It did kill the momentum for a lot of people for the rest of the pay-per-view. Like, it left a lot of a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. It dominated the conversation for the few days following on social media, and the crowd was noticeably quieter for the next two matches, which kind of sucks because they were good matches.
Yeah, I think we weren't as affected because we had each other to hype ourselves up.
Mm-hmm.
So we were considerably worried during. It was just not fun.
I wasn't worried during it because like I didn't really understand what was going on. Like I couldn't process it. I was just more like, what the fuck? Why? This is weird and wonky. What's going on?
Yeah. But c'est la vie. It happened the way it happened. There's not much we can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the next match was fun.
Yes.
Thunder Rosa versus Hikaru Shida.
Oh my God, dude. I love this match. Legitimately some of the best bell-to-bell action I've seen from this women's division so far. I don't think it topped Shida's match with Nyla Rose back at Double or Nothing, but it was very close, very intense, a lot of technical sort of just beating the shit out of each other kind of stuff. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I love that Thunder Rosa has been getting this much bigger platform through this match. And yeah, she didn't win and that kind of sucks. But I think we all knew that was happening given the circumstances of this match. It was just whether or not it was going to be a good match. And like, I don't know about the general AEW viewer, but I have learned a lot about Thunder Rosa through this exposure because she had that great match on Dynamite the week before. She's had some legitimately cool hype stuff leading up to it, and she was on the Talk is Jericho podcast this week, and I was listening to that just like an hour or so before I got on to talk with you tonight. And there is so much about her that I had no idea about. Like before she was a wrestler, she was a social worker. Apparently she was best friends with Hana Kimura in Japan. Fucking the reason she does the whole Day of the Dead gimmick is because her grandfather died while watching a wrestling match. And so she's trying to honor him and all of the wrestling fans in her family's lineage. It's really interesting stuff, and she seems like this amazing sort of kind of tooth and nail, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type of woman.
Yeah, she seems really cool. I really enjoy that. I don't want to say, you know what? Yeah, no, that's a bad thought. It was poorly worded in my head, and it doesn't make sense. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
That happens sometimes with my head, but no, this was fantastic.
I mean, I am the guy who I understand going through that kind of stuff, Chris, because like I'm the guy who sometimes likes to say I wouldn't mind it if Hikaru Shida kicked me in the face.
But yes, Hikaru Shida kicked ass. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing about the women's division. A lot of people will go like, the AEW women's division is lackluster. I will agree. But here's the thing. You got to think about context. It's not like it's bad because they're bad at it.
Yeah. It's bad because they're underdeveloped. And they need time to get to that point to be developed. And they need people in order to be that developed. There's like maybe 3 or 4 major stars in AEW's women's division, and that's not for lack of them trying to make stars.
Or making interesting characters, because we can talk about interesting characters in a second, but like the people they were banking on to kind of be the locker room leaders and the people kind of sharing their talents and sharing their skills are all in Japan.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much they can do, and they're trying. Penelope Ford's really come out of her wrestling shell. She's great. I think she's a pretty big star in the women's division right now. Hikaru Shida has always been grand, and luckily she moved to America right before this whole thing started.
They're doing a lot of interesting stuff with trying to build Nyla Rose back up. Abaddon is, of course, going places. They've signed a few interesting women recently, like Tay Conte, and I keep wanting to say Kylan King, but I don't know if it's the right person. Whoever it was who wrestled Rosa on Dynamite 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Also, Anna Jay. They're doing interesting things. There is attempts at, I don't want to say a little bit harder than treading water. They're biding their time, but they aren't sitting and doing nothing.
They have all these disparate elements that they're trying to build up to a point where they can connect together.
Also, Big Swole, Britt Baker, they're fantastic in the women's division. I think they're the big breakout stars so far. But speaking of the women's division in that regard, we had some interesting stuff going on this week where the one you say who just got signed, Tay Conte just got signed. She had a match against Nyla Rose.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget about Diamante and Ivelisse.
They're fantastic. They've been doing some stuff. They're building it up slowly, but surely. It's just slower than I think they'd like because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. And slower than clearly a lot of the internet is willing to put up with.
I can understand why some of them would go like, come on, you said you said it was going to be better like 2 years ago when you first announced AEW. I can understand not wanting to give them that benefit of the doubt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it. I'm still willing because I go like, yeah, no, they're having to deal with this dumb bullshit. We can give them that little bit of a break. Once everything's kind of more generally back to normal and it stays this way for like 9 more months, I'm just going to go like, nah. Like right now, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But Nyla Rose beat the new signee, and she was about to wreck her some more, and then Hikaru Shida comes in and goes like, no, I'm the babyface champion. You don't get to beat up on people. So it feels like they're trying to build what the main event scene's going to look like, which so far, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, I have a feeling there's going to be a big swole segment next week with Hikaru Shida.
Oh, you know what I just thought of? Because they did that run-in with Shida. That builds Shida versus Nyla too, but it also builds into Tay Conte has an invite to join the Dark Order, but the baby faces are being nice to me too. Who do I go with? And then maybe Anna Jay like gets up in Shida's face and goes, "Stop trying to steal my friend away." Feud over that.
Yeah, there's stories going on. There's plot hooks. There's threads.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they need more than anything right now, because they got bodies, and they need to give the women time, because for a while it was kind of squash matches. It was quick matches because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
but I think they now have a flow for the COVID women's division.
Yeah.
But the next match was an 8-man tag team. Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares, who are Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, versus the Dark Order, Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson.
Bro.
This was great.
This match was so much fun. Literally the only complaint I have about it, and I do like the explanation Brian Zane gave for it later of it's trying to look like the joints on an action figure. But I legitimately could not stop looking at Matt Cardona's gear because I thought he was wearing a giant diaper.
You know what it needs to be? It needs to be a big, bright color, like red or blue, with black hip lines.
White and purple is just such an odd combo. And I get that purple is kind of his color, but like you could have thrown any other color on top of that.
But you know what I mean? Like have like a big screw on the side.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But this was a fun match.
This match was was really great. Like I'm usually not into those big bloated more than 3 people tag matches, but this was a really good one. Everybody got a chance to do some decent shit. We got to see Brody be really impressive as the champion. We got some time for different Dark Order members to shine. QT took a lot of the heat, but he still got a couple licks in. Matt Cardona introduced the newly renamed Broski Boot, which is now called the Reboot, which is kind of a great name. And fucking Scorpio was amazing. And then Dustin killed it both in this and in something we're probably going to talk about in a second. And got the pin over Colt Cabana, which set up now Colt Cabana is not exactly in the Dark Order's favor. Because he's no longer winning matches for them or looking like he's doing really hot because of them. So Brody's a little mad at him, but also
Evil Uno's taking him to the side and giving him honey for his ears.
Yeah.
Hey man, hey, Brody Lee's the new champion. It's a lot of stress. Don't worry about it, man.
Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, you got Dustin getting this huge win, and immediately he goes backstage for a promo and finds out like, oh, he's getting a TNT title shot next week because of it. And it's like he cuts this great old school babyface promo talking like, oh shit, it's been a long time since I've had a chance to get some gold around my waist, and maybe I can avenge my little brother some in this match. And oh man, it's going to be great. And then he's in the main event of Dynamite next week doing that. And legitimately, it's one of the best Dynamite main events there's been in a while. I absolutely loved that match. Just seeing him whip out shit that he'd never even done before in that match on Brody. And for a dude who's almost in his 60s, looked amazing. Which
pulling out destroyers and flipping, like he looked like he was wrestling a man 20 years younger.
Mm-hmm. And like I don't want to get too sentimental on this, but like it's one of those things where my dad's in his 60s. He has a speech impediment because of a stroke. He's a double amputee. He can't hardly see anything anymore. And then I go and see Dustin doing all this incredible shit when he's almost in his 60s. And I don't mean to like bury my dad too much or anything, but it's kind of like it's a moment of here's these 2 examples of what to do and what not to do with yourself in order to be in great shape at certain points in your life. And that's not saying that like Dustin hasn't had his ups and downs like my dad has, but it is just an incredible thing to see a guy at that age performing at that level and saying like, yeah, you can do that too. You just gotta, as he says, as his tagline goes, keep stepping.
Yeah. Both this match and the Dynamite match, fantastic, wonderful. It's just great character work, great everything. It's good storytelling. It's good storytelling with the Dark Order.
Mm-hmm.
The next match we have is a tag team match for the tag team champion, Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus FTR, formerly the Revival.
So I'm gonna go ahead and admit, this is probably the most bored I was during a match at all. And that's not because it was bad, it's just because it wasn't my style. FTR, the way they wrestle, the very technical, classic tag team style of wrestling they have, isn't really for me. And I don't think it's bad. It doesn't excite me the way it does them and the way it does a certain sect of fans. So I was like, kind of sitting back going like, yeah, this is good, but I kind of know where it's going, and I'm just waiting for it to get there.
See, I love this match. I love FTR. I thought it was great playing into Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Their character work was fantastic because eventually FTR, when the champion, championship, and Kenny Omega just fucking ghosts Adam Page.
Yeah.
He just goes like, you know what? Fuck this. He goes back. He goes to his car and goes like, you know what? I've tried to make this work. I've tried to be a peacemaker, but you know what? Maybe I just need a clean slate.
Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, oh, why are the Bucks following him and trying to get him to stop? Aren't they like getting super frustrated too? Yeah, but just because they're frustrated doesn't mean they want this relationship to end. It just means they don't know what to do in order to keep it going anymore.
Yeah, it's very much like, Kenny, you were the voice of reason. You can't be doing this, because if you're doing this, then that just means that our only option is to fucking cut Adam Page out of our life, and we don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. Like, but you know what that means for the next pay-per-view, right?
We're probably getting Kenny Omega versus Adam Page.
But I was also thinking FTR versus the Young Bucks.
Yes, of course.
Whew.
Because the next week, FTR comes out for a championship celebration, and they immediately just turned heel on everybody. Like, they've been trying to play both sides ever since they debuted, but now they're straight up just like, yeah, every other team in AEW is shit. You're either a bunch of stupid gimmicks or you're a bunch of has-beens. Get fucked. And most people did not take too kindly to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if they're heels. That was great. Jurassic Express, though, came in and kind of did the whole scare him off jazz with Marco Stunt dumping the ice chest on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut cake.
Yeah.
Everybody had a piece of cake.
That shot of Austin Gunn with his slice of cake was legitimately the funniest thing I saw all night.
Brian Zane was like, I was disappointed that no one went through the cake. And I was like, no, but this is how AEW does cakes. Everybody gets cake.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed this match. It was great. Good character work. And it's good to see FTR with gold.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and like that that render of them with the championships.
Mm-hmm. The next match is a special match. It was the first of its kind, so to speak. It was a Mimosa Mayhem match,
which was probably the match I was looking the least forward to. Like I think both of us were generally bemoaning the Cassidy Jericho feud at this point, saying like, "Oh, it's played out. We don't really need a rubber match. I don't. This gimmick sounds stupid, and like it's just another version of a casket match." And it ended up being really fun.
Yeah, because besides the mimosa theming, it is a solid idea for a match. It's two death pits that if you throw someone in, they lose. Replace it with water, and you have a fine general match. But with it being Mimosa or Tang, it was fun. It was really good. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho's. It was a gimmick match. It was very little technical wrestling, very little in regards of like old school traditional wrestling. It was just strike, strike, strike. Try to push you into the vat. Strike, strike, strike. Tipping into the vat.
Mm-hmm.
Until eventually Orange Cassidy gave him the orange pulp and knocked Chris Jericho into the vat.
And the fucking Jericho is just a meme machine because all the edits of him in that tub have been so wonderful.
Oh yeah. Also, there was a great segment with Chris Jericho on Dynamite this week where he was coming in to the stadium, the Daly's place, and he runs into MJF, and they have a great back and forth. We'll talk about that more when we talk about MJF in a minute. But yeah, it was a fine match.
Yeah.
It was good.
What's next?
Well, it is the match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley versus MJF.
So I'm going to go ahead and just state my opinion. I loved this match. I think it's the best world title bout that's been in AEW so far. However, I hated the finish.
I'm okay with the finish. So explain your thought.
So the way this match ends is MJF is signaling Wardlow to throw the dynamite diamond into the ring, and he does so. And Moxley is standing right behind him, and the ring gets thrown right at Moxley's feet instead of into MJF's hands. So Moxley kind of chucks it behind him. The referee is distracted trying to get Wardlow out of there, and Moxley hits the paradigm shift on MJF to pin him and win. And this is a dusty ass finish. And sometimes I'm okay with dusty finishes, sometimes
It's not
I'm
a
not.
dusty finish.
I'm sorry?
That's not the definition of a dusty finish.
Well then
It's a screwy finish. There's
my apology. Get my terminology mixed up tonight. But anyway,
a dusty finish, for people who do not know, is when the referee says, "Up, this person wins," and then a secondary referee comes out and goes like, nope, you miscounted this. This person actually won."
okay. Well, I had seen a meme that had declared this a dusty finish, so I apparently took that too seriously. Or that person was completely misinformed, or some combination of the three. Either way, I apologize. It's a screwy finish. But basically the reason I don't like this finish, and I've had some people try to talk me out of it and say like, oh, it could be worse. It could be Rollins versus Orton from Hell in a Cell 2014. Or at least I think that's the year they cited. But I don't like how it was built up as Moxley cannot use the paradigm shift to win in this. And he's like, I don't need the move to win. I'm going to beat you up anyway, kid. You're not as good as me. You're going to have to face that when I beat you without the paradigm shift. And then he goes and wins it with the paradigm shift. In my opinion, it makes Moxley look kind of weak. It makes him look like a one-trick pony. And outside of that, it kind of feels to me like if Cody had lost to Jericho and then just the next week on Dynamite said, "Nah, I'm the EVP. I'm challenging you again. Get your ass out here, Jericho."
I can understand that, but you also got to think about it like this. MJF has been gloating. Don't like the fact that, oh, you can't use the paradigm shift. You can't. Ha ha ha. And so Moxley getting around that and using the paradigm shift anyway is kind of haha, fuck you, MJF, more so than I don't have more tricks in my bag. It felt much more of a, you know what, I can do this right now. I'ma do it just to fuck with you, and less of this is the move I need to use to win the match. Especially with Moxley given that shrug. It's like, what? I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean I used a paradigm shift? What?
I mean, Moxley does have the best shrug in wrestling. I'll give you that.
It felt much more of like he was belittling MJF by going, yeah, you're not worth it. Fuck you. I'm just going to use it anyway. You piece of shit.
That's a fair way of looking at it, I guess.
And I'm not saying you're wrong in your interpretations. I'm fine with it. Because it felt more like comeuppance than it felt like belittle.
Yeah. And I mean, they both still like beat the ever loving shit out of each other. There were a lot of great near falls where I almost thought MJF was going to win throughout this match. And if you listen to Analytical Fanboys, you know I have said I thought MJF was going to win throughout the entire program just because it made perfect sense to me. Like, you're doing a Trump parody, you might as well go all the way. And also, fucking the bragging rights MJF will have for the entire rest of his career of probably being the youngest ever AEW world champion. But, you know, they didn't go for that. They decided to keep with the surefire thing, have the babyface win because we're still in quarantine times. And I can understand that.
Yeah, but we did have some interesting fallout because MJF is disbanding his campaign for the world champion.
Mm-hmm. And he's madder at Wardlow than ever.
Oh boy, it was fucking great because he was just yelling at everybody, get out, fuck you, made a woman cry. And then I can't remember how it happened, but Wardlow basically like puffed his chest at him, and MJF was like going like, whoa, buddy, who pays your check? Because I don't think it's Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, and that also gives a perfect explanation of why henchmen will stick with the heel, even though like they fucking can't stand them. They need the fucking money, and it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. But also, if you're watching BTE, you know Wardlow's got options. You know John Silver just spent 10 minutes hitting on him in the locker room and trying to get him to join the Dark Order. So there's potential for a split there. I don't think they're going there anytime soon, but I love that they're still seeding it because they have been since earlier this year. I think was the first time I remember them doing it.
I know what I could see being the angle. Wardlow versus MJF. Wardlow slowly becomes more and more face. You start to see that he's a big, tough guy who's scary because he has to be. And he has like that kind of goon with a heart of gold. Like he'll like say MJF is about to brutalize someone and he holds him back and is going like, no, you've done enough. Stop it. He does us that kind of stuff, like the noble bandit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And MJF slowly gets more and more frustrated with Wardlow until eventually they have a match. The stipulation being if Wardlow wins, he gets an official AEW contract and not have to be under MJF's thumb.
Ooh, that could be neat. But Chris, I think we've forgotten something during this whole podcast because there was something that happened during the buy-in that got followed up on Dynamite. That is kind of a big deal, kind of a big newsworthy event that we might want to cover.
My brain is being a fart. You're gonna have to not play the joke and just tell me.
So Kip Sabian is cutting a promo talking about how him and Penelope Ford are going to get married and it's going to be on AEW Dynamite and it's going to be great because every wrestling wedding has always gone great, right? And he says, before the wedding can happen, there needs to be a bachelor party. And for there to be a bachelor party, there needs to be a best man to plan it. So on the next Dynamite, he will reveal it to the world. He will have his best man debut in AEW. Hey, also check out my Twitch because I'm a Twitch streamer. I know you probably didn't know that, but I'm a Twitch streamer, and nice little way for us to fire off a shot across WWE's bow because they're shutting down people doing Twitch streams for some inane reason.
The best thing though, we'll get to it, is Kip Sabian's like, yeah, I'm gonna have a best man, and they got to be handsome as fuck, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be handsome, and like it just sounds like general like snobbish heelish work. Once it's revealed, it makes total sense.
And I'll be honest, there was kind of a who's it gonna be element, but in the back of my head, I was like, this is obviously just their way of working Jimmy Havoc back in. But then the actual Dynamite comes around and Kip Sabian comes out and he says, all right, here's my best man. And then somebody who apparently okay. I thought he was like a Twitch, just like a random Twitch subscriber who had also been at Dynamite that week. I did not recognize the guy at all.
No, he's an indie wrestler. His name's Puff. I think he's friends with Kip Sabian in general sense.
Okay. And then he's like, no, here's the real best man. And it's Brian Pillman Jr. And apparently Brian Pillman Jr. has been bothering the shit out of Kip Sabian backstage, which is hilarious.
And there's a great moment. It's like, Brian, I texted you, you're the best, comma, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and just like the pure deflation on Brian Pillman Jr.'s face was great. Because he was just excited to be helpful. He was like, "Yeah, no, I'll help."
Brian Pillman Jr. seems like a real good boy. I hope they do more with him in the future.
Oh yeah, especially with the fact that Cody loves old school wrestling types, and he does a lot of his old dad's kind of stuff. And of course, there's that connection with Chris Jericho because they both went through the Hart Foundation's full wrestling stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not together, but they went through that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But then Kip Sabian says, all right, we're going to rule of freeze. We're bringing out the real best man. So here he is. And then the theme song starts playing and I'm like, oh, okay. Cause like, I usually only half watch Dynamite while I'm editing something, but I was actually paying full attention to this cause I had time to release a new video this week before Wednesday. And I was actually paying full attention. I was like, all right, this is pretty good theme music. It's definitely designed by that guy who is doing a lot of their music now, Mikey Ruckus, Chris Van Vliet did an interview with him recently that was very good. But it's clearly a Mikey Ruckus piece. That's nice. I like the way they're hyping up that he's the best. This could be fun. I'd like to see him cross over with Ortiz, whoever he is. And then it just stops, and you just hear like a computer voice go, Miro. And I immediately went, holy shit, what?
And then you follow this big bruising dude coming out of the entranceway, and then you see it's Rusev, it's Miro,
It's fucking Miro Day, son.
in full e-boy glory.
Yeah, because he fucking bleached his hair. He's wearing a bunch of Gucci shit. Oh my god.
DDs.
Uh,
He looked fresh. He looked
they're,
good.
they're letting him come out and be himself. AEW is doing the thing AEW always says it's here to do. It's here to let wrestlers be presented the way they want to be presented. And I saw some backlash to this. Like, I literally saw somebody complain that Rusev was plugging his Twitch and that he had bleached blonde hair and saying like he didn't look masculine anymore. And literally, they ended it by saying, "I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't want to dox this person." And it was said in their Discord server, but they said like, "What is this thing called current year, and when is it going to end? For the love of God!" And I'm like, "Okay, granddad."
Sorry that he's a successful businessman.
Mm-hmm. Sorry that he's not a complete product crafted by a corporate entity in order to completely perpetuate their ongoing perpetual storylines of hometown hero versus foreign baddie.
Genuinely, I think anybody who complains about him having a Twitch doesn't understand how much fucking work it takes to run a Twitch.
Mhm.
Like, we just run YouTube channels, and it takes a fucking lot of work.
Yeah, like at my new job, my coworkers like kind of joke about like, "Oh, what do you do on the weekend? Are you gonna go out? Are you gonna hang out? Are you gonna do this, that, and the other thing?" And I'm like, I got fucking housework and videos to do, bro. That's all there is. That's all my life is. It's that and occasionally getting to open a toy or read a comic.
But oh man, but Miro's promo was just the best.
Yeah, because like he just felt fully comfortable, and like the crowd was immediately chanting Miro Day, and the look on his face, it was like you could fucking edit that shit into the Berserk meme of his fucking smile and optimism was restored.
But it was such a simple thing because there's been stories about how he was gaslit in WWE and the fact that people chanting Rusev Day was to mock him. It wasn't. It was to love him because
Yeah.
Rusev deserved all the love. So him coming out and everybody going Miro Day
Well, he's
immediately,
got this completely different look going on.
just immediately, it's like, no, we loved you then, we love you now.
And
Miro Day.
And the fucking, like, it was such a big pop for me because he had said on his Twitch like a month ago that he was officially done with wrestling and he just wanted to be a Twitch streamer from now on. Maybe he'd do something else, but he wasn't going back to wrestling. And like, I'm almost certain Tony Khan and Cody saw that as a challenge.
I have a feeling that they had called him before that and they're like, hey, just kind of downplay anything wrestling. Don't get anybody's hope up. That way we can do a big surprise.
Yeah, probably. And like Lana went out on Twitter and said that like she'd been trying to get him to bleach his hair for years and he wouldn't do it. And a lot of people, including myself, are theorizing that like, oh, that's because WWE is super OCD about people changing their looks at all.
That may be it, but like he immediately cut one of the best fucking promos after going like everybody was going no Miro Day, and he just went, that has a good ring to it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
This beautiful little like I love the fans kind of thing. He then goes, I was in the same house for 10 years with a glass ceiling looking up at imaginary brass rings. I'm tired of it. I'm here to do one thing, and that is be the best.
It's so exciting, and honestly, the only expectation I have at this point is that next week during the parking lot match with Santana and Ortiz, at some point Santana starts screaming in the camera, we're the best, and then Miro just runs in, shoves him out of frame, and starts screaming, I'm the best, I'm the best.
That's gonna be a BTE segment. You know it.
Yeah.
But no, Miro fucking does my heart good. It does the heart good. It was just great. All Out was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was grand. Yeah.
I'll admit there's some wonky stuff. The build probably could have been just a smidge better, but like most of the event I really enjoyed, and the Fallout was so awesome.
Yeah. There was some more Fallout in Dynamite, specifically with Kenny Omega and Adam Page, where Adam Page is just like despondent. He's depressed. He goes like, you know what, everybody is right. I'm a fuck up. I fucked up.
He's on fucking BTE trying to get Brandon Cutler to tell the Bucks he's sorry.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because Brandon Cutler sets down the camera, and then Hangman just kind of sheepishly comes up and goes like, "Hey, can you just
fucked up, man?
Can you just tell the Bucks I'm sorry? I don't need them to accept it. I don't need them to forgive me. I just want them to know I'm sorry." And it's just,
and the Bucks won't hear it at all. Anything to do with Hangman, and they're immediately like, "Brandon, shut up."
It's good, and like Tony was asking Hangman, going like, "So what's next for you and Kenny?" And he goes like, "Oh, we just gotta group together, climb back up the ranks, try and get the tag titles back." And like Hangman's just looking forward to that, and Kenny goes like, "You know what? I'm gonna go for a singles run. Fuck the tag champs."
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like,
and the entire singles division's buttholes puckered.
That, but also you can just feel like your heart breaks for Hangman, because he's expecting Kenny to still be by his side, but no, Kenny's gone. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know it yet, but Kenny's gone. Mm-hmm. Hangman is one of the best characters in professional wrestling.
He is our anxious millennial cowboy.
He is the next step in evolution to get Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Ooh, I don't know if I go that far, but I get you. I get where you're coming from.
Because it is the anti-wrestling face of wrestling, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Stone Cold was rude and abrasive, and he went like, "Fuck you," and everybody laughed it up. Hangman's going like, "I am unsure of myself, and I feel like I'm a fucking asshole," and everybody feels that.
Yeah. Like, there's not a week goes by that I try to come up with plans for videos and get really hype over where I'm going to take my character and whatnot, and then I'll make a video and I'll immediately go, "That was the worst fucking thing I've ever made. What the hell is wrong with me? Is it even worth keep trying to doing this? I'm not getting any views. What the fuck is wrong with my life?"
I mean, I kind of had a moment like that this week, because I released a video and it did pretty okay, but it didn't do. I thought it would do better than it did,
and that's why everyone should sub to r/YouTubers.
But that was pretty much wrestling that we wanted to talk about. Unless you got anything else from Dynamite you want to talk about.
No, not really, and I'm not up on WWE or Impact right now.
I can tell you what's going on in WWE. Fucking bullshit.
Oh.
Yeah. Shame.
My favorite.
So, with that being said, hey, Vac, why don't you tell the people where they can watch your videos and do your stuff?
I am the Vacuuminator, your modular king of the content ring. I vlog, I review toys, I analyze media, I do it all, baby. That's why I'm the king. And you can check me out at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. That's spelled THEVACUUMINATOR. I'm also on the social medias. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Vacuuminator. And yeah, that's my stuff. Go check it out.
And I'm Boingo Writer, Chris Gaston Boingo Writer, to be specific. I do YouTube video editorial essay things. You can find me on Boingo Writer, link in the description. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Boingo_Writer. And you can join my Discord. Link to that's in the description. We hang out, we talk about shit. But that was wrestling that we wanted to talk about, more specifically AEW. What the fuck did we do for an outro?
Miro Day, 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 Miro Day.